This is episode 249 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. Actually, I'm not here yet, Monzano, but I said, oops, I didn't make dinner reservations, so I'm playing it by ear, Monzano. Called him out. Will Valender Valendudor Times. I see what you were going for. This is what happens
when we have on-the-fly typing for nicknames.
That's okay.
That's right. Valen Rudortines Hagewood.
Glad to be here.
And Ryan, why did the X-Wing player cross the road? Staniszewski.
Because you have to get to Crossroads.
There you go. So today on our episode, we're going to be covering where are the points in the rules. We're going to be talking about the Crossroads Classic. We're going to go ahead and do a full spoilers discussion on the Book of Boba Fett, and we're going to take some listener questions. Don't worry, those of you who haven't seen it, we'll give you a warning before we jump into that. Yeah, here we go. This podcast brought to you by our GSP patrons. Becoming a patron is a way to become part of our largest group of supporters. You go to patreon.com/Gold Squadron. Thank you so much. I sent out a bunch of scum stuff this week. Last little bit to go. And I've been seeing all the posts on our Discord being like, Dion, thanks. I'm like, yeah, it's cool to see that stuff in your guys' hands. All right. Ryan, where are the points?
On the boat. I don't know. The last thing I heard was from Twitch reply to, I believe, one of their X-Wing paint casts that someone caught, which was basically, it's in LFL's hands. They finished all the documentation to show us. They just have to go get it approved. And when that happens is fingers crossed as soon as possible. Beyond that, it's February?
February question mark.
I understand they hoped for mid-February, or they kind of expected mid-February, but mid is very, I don't know, because February is the shortest month of the year, so mid could be closer to the end or the beginning.
This is true. It depends on what they were thinking when they said mid, right? Oh my goodness. Well, with that, I thought we'd have some fun with our live Twitch viewers, okay? In over-under on when are we going to get the points and the rules released, I'm going to go ahead and set the line. Now, a lot of people were saying, like, set the line at the last day of the year. Of the year. Please don't do that. Don't do that. Last day of the month. I thought we might set the line though on, I think, like a Friday would be better as a line for when we would get it. So I'm gonna set the line at. Marcel's here. You guys didn't hear what I just heard, but I'm going to go ahead and set the line at February 25th. February 25th at 3 p.m. Sorry, at 5 p.m. Central Time.
Now, counterpoint that line. If we're expected February, there's only one more working weekday after that Friday, which seems very easy to hammer the before than the after.
It does, but man, that payday on the after, if it's true. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that over under. I'm gonna put that over under out there. How do you play? You're gonna go ahead, ! Bet over or under. I think you also got to put the cost in there. So ! Bet space how many points you're gonna put on it, space over or under. Okay. So you got to put the points in your bet for those of you who are watching live. Good luck, and we're just gonna keep that. We're not gonna touch the over under until until we know. All right. Obviously, I want it ASAP because we want it for Adepticon, but I know for those of us who are attending the Crossroads Classic, we were really hoping to have it for Crossroads Classic so that we could, we could play with it with this weekend. But alas, we are on bated knee. Now let's go ahead and flow into Crossroads. Ryan, what's like the cutoff for Crossroads?
All right, let me get it officially, because the last time I checked, the final cutoff for new rules, new points, all of it was this Friday, February 18th at 8 p.m. I'm double checking their posts to confirm that this is true.
8 p.m. Eastern?
They are in Eastern, so
right.
I assume that is what it is. It was a post by Zach Bart, who helps run this. Some updates. Here we go. New points Friday, February 18th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So yes, that is when the deadline was. So it means people like me and Will and Marcel that are traveling there, and anyone else traveling, if there isn't any new points or new rules by the time you leave with your car, I'm just bringing an entire faction's worth of stuff. Anyone else have any ideas of, like, besides just bringing literally everything you own? Any other thoughts as to like how you would prepare for something like this?
You bring like you maybe bring like an idea, right? You're like, I want to fly this group of ships. You bring yourself a stack of upgrade cards and you hope. So for those of you who are betting, they are going through, but you got to make sure you put the amount of points you're betting after. Exclamation point bet, over, under, how many points?
Does the under need to be all caps like it says so in the Streamlabs thing?
Under. It would help.
Okay.
All right, then we got a wild Marcel Manzano entering the fray here. What's up? So yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I personally, we were texting earlier, Ryan, right? And we were talking about it would be absolutely hilarious to have a late Friday drop of these rules if it happened this week right before Crossroads, because nobody would have any idea what they were doing. And I think that's some amazing experimentation opportunities.
Maximum chaos. And Crossroads, I believe, in the recent post has confirmed there's up to 70 people who have signed up for this. So
yeah,
it's not like hundreds of hundreds. That'd be like a very large sample size, but solid amount of people showing up for an event that has a chance to be maximum chaos. I'm super excited for that potential. And people might be asking, why all the way till 8 p.m.? Because AMG is in Pacific time, which means they're likely to close and be done for the day on Friday by 5 p.m., which is the allotted time. It's my guess why they set it up that way.
That makes sense. They're just hoping. AMG drop from above those points. I mean, so from what we heard, like you said earlier, Ryan, right? We're waiting on Lucasfilm to approve the documentation. Now, here's my question. Like, if you're Lucasfilm, okay, you're the guy, the person in charge of these approvals. You get these things in your inbox and your things. Do you attack them in the order in which you receive them, or are you attacking them by size? Because I'm thinking, like, if this was a simple thing, this is complete speculation. Are we getting like a big change? I mean, they said that they're doing some overhauls. We got the whole objectives thing. Like, that's a massive change to the rule book, right?
Yeah, I feel like they'd have to really comb through those objectives to make sure that they don't need to correct those right away.
in the objectives, you're Luke Skywalker and you can jump from asteroid to some ridiculous things. Because I mean, what else? If you're LFL and you have to comb through rules of a game that you probably don't know, like what are you looking for in there that you have to check it besides like weirdness, I guess?
I would assume the usage of their characters, like their actual characters, the planets, the ships, and something as simple as spelling them correctly, using them thematically correct or canonically the way they'd like to. I mean, I've never known anyone to be part of this. Marcel, this seems on the business end. This seems like a you question.
I completely don't know what you guys are talking about.
All right, if you're LFL and you have to look at documents sent to you by AMG, and you're trying to make sure your Star Wars name, I guess this is my thought process of how they would view it, is represented correctly through this game, but they have no idea about game design. They just trust the game designers to do it. What are you looking for? What is LFL approving?
They're basically just looking for one, for the branding, that just on the legal side, that the branding is represented right, that the TM is where the TM needs to be, that the spelling is right, that basically it's just on brand. So that's one side of it. That's on the legal side. And then I would imagine that it goes through also just their marketing department, basically making sure that they're not misrepresenting like anything that might be either Legends canonical and making some type of pain down the road that they'll basically say like, no, this isn't it. But in a game like X-Wing, I think for the most part, because none of it will end up being canon, it's just making sure that it's nothing like completely out of left field. But for the most part, I think it's mostly just looking at are they mentioning something that shouldn't be mentioned yet? Are they doing the branding correctly? Are they putting? I mean, sometimes you even get things like putting the word "the" in front of something, and things like that. It sounds very nuanced, but in a lot of companies that's what they look for. They've got like little rules. They got a brand guide that's like a gazillion pages of brand guide that do this, don't do that. So that's basically what it is, just a bunch of stuff. And quite frankly, the reason it takes so long is not because they have to go through it in such fine tune. It's because they've got other things that basically just are more important and make more money. So they've got limited resources, limited time, and they're like, well, we've got to put out this trailer for this new Marvel, and then we got to put out this trailer for Star Wars this or Star Wars that, and we got to put out this new poster on social media from our official Disney Plus thing and things like that. Those things just, quite frankly, take bigger priority because those things are done and managed by Disney versus a third party that whether they release it right now or they release it 6 weeks from now, Disney is still going to collect their licensing fee. Like how much of that sells doesn't really go into Disney's wallet. It's just they're still collecting their licensing check.
Good point. And Brian Lindemuth in the chat says here an example here of how that information is presented. That it says his company that he works for has a 70-page document on logo and font usage. So I mean, yeah, it can get pretty serious when it comes to that. And I understand that presentation, you want to make sure that it's consistent. And hey, maybe there's something really cool holding it up.
Yeah, well,
like a Obi-Wan trailer.
Consistent. It's basically how they cover themselves to be able to do copyright lawsuits later or copyright infringement things, or
by staying consistent.
Or by staying consistent, and
right.
Also if something goes wrong and it doesn't look right, they can say like, "Oh, this wasn't approved. It wasn't like in the approved XYZ." So again, it's all a bunch of legal lawyer stuff. Maybe Brian can say more about the legal lawyer stuff, but yeah, it's It's basically nonsense.
Yeah, I feel like in this day and age, just as examples, you mentioned the 70-page document. Just if anyone has to go through those type of documentation to verify stuff, I feel like there's a first round of automated process of a software that recognizes and pings stuff in red marks and something, so that you literally aren't like one or two people just to make sure that get a second, because I would think if you don't have an automated process, you don't want just one person looking at an entire document themselves the entire time. You need someone to peer review it just to make sure your eyes as a single person don't miss something. So I would hope some of this is automated, because man, I don't want to be reviewing this amount of documents and looking at that level of detail without some sort of technical advancement help.
True that. All right. So I mean, yeah. Hopefully we get those things soon. I want to talk a little bit about the Crossroads Classic. Let's go with the more likely scenario. More likely than not, we probably won't have the new stuff for this weekend. Unfortunately, that still means we're gonna get to. We're still gonna have some awesome games. We're gonna stream you guys. Some games from Indiana, and I expect the games to be competitive and fun. We had, and if those new points don't release, that means we're gonna use the Fly Better Open / Las Vegas Open rules, the black box rules. And, anytime we have an event after another with the same rule set, you basically got three options that a meta can do, right? It can be reactionary, right? Saying, oh, that was the best, I'm going to take the hard counter to that. You can be evolutionary, where you have the next iteration of that best thing being played, or stationary. It stays exactly the same. So, we've talked the last couple weeks about what happened at Las Vegas Open. What do you think, where do you think we will end up when it comes to Crossroads? Any guesses there? What does your heart tell you?
I'll take a stab at it. It's probably going to be evolutionary. Now, the Las Vegas Open primarily had a lot of people traveled to it, but primarily was West Coast players. Whereas now in Crossroads, we're going to get more East Coast and Midwest players. So it really is like a different kind of meta, a different way to play. So I think we're going to see some concepts that worked continue on, but we're going to see some new concepts as well. From a different region of players.
Yeah, one of the things I like to do is just kind of looking at a list and say, well, who will probably be at these events, right? So for instance, looking at our top 8, I see Doug Howe in that list. He's probably going to be there, and I would guess, he got into the top 4 with Vader Quadruple Academy. It probably plays the same thing if he puts in reps, though I will tell you Doug Howe is a good enough player to pivot if he wants to. So, I
feel like he pivots often.
He does.
I don't see him play the same list in multiple events. So as much as I kind of expect to see him to have that anyway, just because there's nothing really to evolve to when we're just on the borderline of making a huge leap elsewhere.
We're taking a rocket to the moon, baby.
Yeah. No, I mean, it might spoil into what I'm going into.
Yeah.
Stationary, I guess, or just fun, right? It's an event that, if it doesn't implement the newest rules, this, yes, is a solidly competitive, or it's not as big as an LVO or an Adepticon, but in the region, it's a thought of event.
Yeah, it's very established.
And established. It's a good one. So people may still take it seriously anyway on a competitive level. They offer great price support, and they still might try to evolve things. I think most of it is going to be, though, stationary, but because, like Will said, we're in a different area, we're going to see different things, but I don't think we're going to see it because it's reactionary or because it's evolving something. It's just we're in a different area.
Mhm.
People bring different stuff. This could be the last hurrah, some people might think, for certain cards or things that they're concerned they might get banned or changed. They might just be like, you know what, I'm taking this because I don't know if it's going to exist anymore after.
Oh yeah,
Even though it
certain
is black box available, who knows?
certain combinations. Yeah. Another Midwest player that I'm pretty sure is going to be at the event, Matt Carey. He was another one of our top 8s who brought, if you guys remember, Luke Skywalker in the X-Wing, Ahsoka Tano in the A-Wing, and Kanan Jarrus in the VCX. Like, from my experience, at least observing him from the back seat here, I would expect him to just bring the same list. He did really well with it. He's definitely been one to practice what he's been doing, and I mean, if it's been working, why not keep it going? Marcel, you got any inside information there? Matt Carey bringing that VCX. You got anything?
No, I mean he's been high on it. I don't think he's been flying it for a while, even outside of LVO. So if he goes, I think he'll probably do the same. Maybe I don't even know if he would even tweak around some of the stuff because I think the ion control seemed to do really well for him. So he might just stick around with the same.
All right.
Just throwing it out there, a little bit of a wrench in this thought process. You are physically transporting a VCX. So, I mean, I guess you physically brought it to LVO. Never mind.
Yeah, he took it to LVO.
That went farther.
You put it on a plane. No, if it doesn't fit in your pocket, you're not allowed to play it. So you best bring some cargo pants. GSP Pocket Tournament coming soon.
We did see it was day 2 mostly, a little bit higher clip/success rate of swarms. Even though that is a thing, people, as I kind of alluded to, the physical side of actually bringing things in the Midwest area. Will they show up with the swarms? They did at LVO. No.
True that. So here's a question. So just remind me. I know, Ryan, you're going. Marcel, are you making it this weekend? Will, are you making it this weekend?
Sure yet.
I gotta find a dog sitter.
Got to find a
But
dog sitter.
Once I do that, I should be able to. I want to go.
Right. The desire is there. So here's a question. Are you guys willing to talk about what you're bringing? Marcel, are you bringing something different than what you did at LVO?
I mean, I took 2 lists to LVO, so I'd probably still take the same 2 lists just because I'm too lazy to break stuff up, and it's what's already packed. I haven't unpacked it. So
Right.
It's still in the bag, so if I make it, I'll just not even open the bag and swap stuff off. I'll just take what I already had. So, I mean,
well,
more than anything for that reason, to be lazy. Now, if things change and I have to rebuild stuff because things change, then I will almost 100% go. And, at that point, I'll just figure it out. I think, like Ryan said, maybe just take a faction and say, this is the faction I want to fly. And just build it on the fly there. I don't think I'm physically able, unless I rent a U-Haul, to take everything. Like I could take a faction.
Cool. Well, okay. Let's assume that things don't change. So, you know how you did with your list. Can you remind us what you played at LVO again?
I played a Nash Swarm, Interceptor Swarm.
Okay.
And I did all right. I went 3-2. I lost one close one against the double decimator that made the cut, and then I lost the eliminator round 5 against Duncan Howard in a really close match. So I don't think there's. I mean, you lose 2 good ones against 2 good people, and they're both close matches that were within a turn, a couple dice away from each other. It's not bad.
So did that list perform well enough for you to keep it around?
It performed well enough to be able to win if I didn't make mistakes in the 2. I mean, win the whole thing. I think it performed well enough to win the whole thing. I made one bad mistake against the decimators. Disengaged when Rack was at hull breach, which was just dumb. It was just one of those dumb moments. and against Duncan, I zigged when I should have zagged. So it was just pick left, pick right, and if I pick the right, left or right, it's it can go the other way. But so yeah, I think it performed well enough to win.
Cool. Now, Will, if you were playing, what would you bring, man? What have you been looking at?
I've been for like serious competitive play. I'm almost always looking at Rebels. Right now, I do like the Kyle Katarn Haratani with Wedge and Garvin. It's just such a smooth list, man. It just runs itself. Very few like upgrades and like, I mean, yeah, sure. Outside of token passing in combat, it really doesn't have a lot of other moving parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be something like that. I don't know if I'd get too experimental, right? I don't know. That's always when I play in tournaments, that's always the hardest decision for me. Do you take the known that's good, or do you try to win with something you think is good?
Right.
So that's it would be a debate. I'd probably play Rebels no matter what. It's just the faction that interests me lately.
Fair. All right. So Crossroads Classic coming up. We will be live this weekend. When is it? I don't know. What's the start time, Ryan?
Let's see. The posted time for this event. I think it's 9 a.m. Hold on, where is this thing?
Just gotta know what time I have to wake up at the hotel.
Schedule. Store opens at 9 a.m. Registration begins 10 a.m. Player meeting first round pairings posted 10 a.m. Eastern time.
10 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Central.
Okay, so 10:15 technically.
Ish, somewhere out there. All right, now Ryan, what are you looking at? What are you looking at to play? I know you've been itching to get in some competitive X-wing. What are you looking at? Maybe give us a faction if you don't want to give us all the pieces of the recipe.
No, so it's been 3 things I've considered for the past month and a half.
Okay.
As always, Droid Swarm is on the table for me. But I don't really know how much more I can evolve it past what Paul Osen and Isofane have done.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd pretty much be taking one of their lists, which I'm okay with. I'd probably go Paul Osen's list because I just want to fly an HMP because it's fun.
Fair.
But I recently played that for fun, and man, I don't know if I really want to. Like, I would probably play a Droid Storm at Adepticon if I felt it was something that I was confident in.
Right.
But I don't really know if I want to play it at Crossroads. Just, I kind of want to chill at Crossroads and enjoy, still enjoy playing competitive. But I don't know if I want to fly 8 ships all day. just not feeling it this weekend.
Fair.
I know it's weird coming from me as the Swarm guy, but just right now, maybe not. But it's there. It's always a possibility. It's in my nature.
Right.
I think I mentioned this a while ago. I think it's when you asked if you brought something to LVO, what would you bring?
Yes.
I had a Kylo and Grudge and 2 FO bombers list. That's Silencer Kylo specifically. I had been having a lot of fun with the Sensor Scrambler, with the decloaking and sensitive controls Kylo. I get him in a lot of good spots and get him to a really favorable endgame position, while the bombers just be the most disruptive thing they can with their munitions combinations that I have allotted to them, mostly bombs. And then I'm toying with, I don't really think this needs to be secret. It's just something you don't see everywhere. A resistance list that I'm really surprised how successful I've been with it in testing. It has Nimi, Kaz, Akbar in the Y-Wing, and Chewie Falcon.
Okay.
Look, I put it together. I've seen how I've figured out kind of how I want to fly it.
Uh-huh.
Just target priority. Just don't shoot the wrong thing. And there's not really a clear right answer, I think.
Okay. That's some cool stuff.
Don't make Chewie angry.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
I've been on a little bit of a Falcon kick. I tried out Leia Falcon and Rebels with some other stuff in a bit, but I think I'm saving that till later. I think I've been sticking to the Chewie Falcon, specifically with Ray Gunner. Ray Gunner is very, very good.
Okay. All right. Well, make sure that you tune in this weekend. Have those notifications on for Twitch so that you don't miss the Crossroads Classic action. Whether we got new rules or not, we're gonna have a good time, and we're gonna get to watch some games from Indiana. Now, I'm gonna switch around the order here. So what we're gonna do listener questions first before we hit Book of Boba Fett stuff. I think that makes sense because there's actually some Book of Boba Fett questions in there. By the way, if you are abstaining from Book of Boba Fett spoilers, I'll give you a warning when the first question comes up. But after that, it's gonna be fair game. Just letting you know right now. Okay, so here we go. We got a bunch of questions today. Thank you to everybody who posted. By the way, Zach to the Future coming out hard. What is a hot take you don't think the community is ready for? They just having us want to come out swinging right away. I'll go for it.
I got one. Okay.
I do. My hot take is in the end, history will have proven people who complain that change is happening correct. I don't know how hot of it. That's a hot take to people who are adamantly believing what they're doing is wrong. But yeah, I think in the long run,
I don't get what you're.
I'm saying. Oh, you want me to put it in plain English? Complainers, stop complaining. It's gonna be fine. That's what I'm saying. I was trying to be more elegant. Stop complaining.
No, they don't have to stop complaining. You're just saying that.
Complain about something else. Complain about the new stuff when it comes out. All right. Oh man, but yeah, I don't know.
I have a hot take.
Okay, hit me with the hot take.
So my hot take is just because you said this one. My hot take will be whether at the end of everything being said and done, like whether the final product after all of the evolutions that occur over the, let's say, the next 12 to 18 months, whether the game ends up being a better product or a not as good product, the people who complained were still in their right to complain. Like they still had proper reason to complain, even if the final product is good, because the process to get there has not been eloquent.
I would agree with that. You know, you know what? Bouncing off point here. You know, AMG said that that they wanted to be open about the process of them working on stuff, so that we knew that they were working on stuff. Do you think the reaction? All right, because we know we are preparing for big change. We know it's coming. Big change is coming. If we didn't know about all the steps and they just dropped it all at once, would it have been better? Will it have been better on that timeline?
Oh, right. It's in the streets. All right.
Right, it's in the streets.
I think riots in the streets.
People burning their collections and.
Yeah, honestly, if they dropped everything at one point and were quiet up to then, like I can't even imagine like just all of it at the same time. Like just learning about road, just learning about ban list, just learning about scenario, like just the wall of it would be so much like to try and take in at one time. Like I'm really thankful because AMG mentioned this, I think on Fly Better's interview or a stream, that in about like 95 to 99% of development cases, no one sees through the process or behind the curtain stuff that they've been showing us right now. So honestly, I'm really thankful, even though, they've been telling us stuff that they might end up changing. So like, we're not really sure where they're going. At least we get an idea of their thought process and direction. We don't know the destination yet, but they're letting us get a peek of the journey.
That's right. Here's a map.
Yeah.
You might not
Yeah,
know how to
I'll-
read it, but it's coming.
Yes. So what I was gonna say, like, I mean, you guys are right. If they were to just drop it without teasing, and it was drastic change, like all these ships are not legal anymore, these cards are not legal anymore, the way that you play the game and the way that you score the game aren't the right way anymore. Dogfight is not a dogfight anymore. You know, and you just drop that all at once. You're right. Like it would be. I mean, it would be chaos worse than the chaos has been so far. But I think the difference is in opting in, and I think that's probably, you know, when you're going to make a change that big, like when FFG was going to change from 1.1, you know, 1.0 to 2.0, you opted in. You said, okay, I bought into this game, I bought into these rules, I bought into this format, I know what I'm spending my money for, I know what the product is, and then I have a choice. Okay, here are the new rules, here are the new formats. I have a choice to make that transition, and it is not, oh, you know, this is ginger ale. I bought a ginger ale. The box looks like ginger ale. Everything, but then when I drink it, it's Coca-Cola. Like it doesn't match. And I think that even if the Coca-Cola tastes better than the ginger ale, or at least for some people, they like Coca-Cola better than ginger ale. The fact that the expectation, you know, it's the expectation. You were expecting the taste of ginger ale, but you got the taste of Coca-Cola. That's what gives you that little like, whoa, this is not what I signed up for.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, even if you like Coca-Cola better, you're like, I love Coca-Cola. It's not what I signed up for. I was expecting this flavor, and I got something else. So I think that's why I said that. You know, the people that are complaining, even if the people that complain like the final product better because it's a better game, there's still, you know, there's still validity into why they're complaining, and you know, again, they didn't opt into it. They didn't say like, oh, we're going to start offering Coca-Cola now, so it'll be Canada Dry Coca-Cola. They just snuck it in there. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's closer to the asked for a Coke and got either like a cherry Coke or vanilla Coke or like it's still within the same realm, but it is definitely different.
Nah, man, you asked for Coke, you got Sprite.
That's different.
that's all right. Real hot.
Sorry about that. I missed that. So that was,
No, you're good. You're good.
So we're still on the hot take question, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I've said a lot
you can't
of things
eat mixed
before.
nuts separately.
Saw that in the chat. I feel like I've said a lot of things before that some people might consider a hot take, but I think one I thought of recently, I don't really know how hot this is, but I think it's something that I want to at least have as a take. Is I think the Republic faction is the hardest faction to balance because it's got the most passive mods and has the capability to combine arms with a lot of either abilities or just something as simple as 7th Fleet Gunner. They have to just sheerly be careful of the fact of how many 3-dice primary ships that faction has with that upgrade, and just the force, the passives that are available to them. So, because they always feel like right now they feel a little behind. I don't know how much more it's really going to take for them to get pushed over the edge. I think they're really hard faction to balance.
I agree. Yeah, that's a good one. Will, you got anything?
Ooh, man. Hot take?
I'll take warm takes. Lukewarm.
Ooh, man. I'm gonna save that one for our objective talk, I think.
All right.
Do I got a hot take? Mod your offense. Stop saving it for defense. All right. Don't.
That sounds like choose violence.
That's
If you have a chance to mod your offense, don't question it. Do it.
Listen, super random. I was watching a YouTube video today, and the person on the video said choose violence, and I was like, what? No, like I had like a visceral reaction. I was like, don't you dare, famous YouTube person, that's ours. Okay, how dare you?
Oh, so you were totally uncar plotting, that's mine.
Right, no. Correct. Come on. Wow. Anyway. There you go. Next one comes from Cisco Action. How do you guys think list building will change with the new rules? That is a big question. That's a big question. I think one of the questions is, how are they going to balance the scoring of the game with objectives and list building? Because if, like, how is that supposed to work? I don't, anything past that, we don't know. That's a complete shot in the dark.
I think that's kind of impossible to say without knowing what the end product will be. So I mean, this is one of the ones that I'll say, who knows? Just look at LVO, and with partial rules, you saw, what some of the changes were. Mm-hmm. The only thing I can probably say is that, certain ships like the Striker, certain ships that just tend to self bump a lot will probably see a decrease. Other than that, it's hard to say.
Ooh, I got one here. One thing that will not change is that we will not have an official squad builder. That's my guess.
Got him.
Deep wounds. Oh man, just pouring the salt in there. I think as far as like how to build new squads, I think we'll probably touch more on that when talking about objectives, how objectives will affect squad building, more so than just points, because points changes a lot, but we're playing a new game, so that is more impactful, I think.
Yeah, I agree with Will. Like the key word, how to build squad, because the easy how is you put stuff together till it equals 200. Yay! But beyond that, it's how do you build a squad and list so it's effective in the game? Well, what's going to change is a squad's effectiveness, because it has to take into account scenarios. Like AMG had mentioned on their stream back when they showed off the first scenario to us, that medium bases and large bases will occupy in that specific scenario. They will count as 2 ships for contesting the zones.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the only thing that they do, and the other scenarios don't have anything other affecting for medium or large base ships in terms of contesting or doing anything with the objectives, is it worth prioritizing medium and large bases at that point? I don't know. A lot of people have started to look at that because they have at least that one scenario affecting, so they think it might affect more, but we don't know.
True that. And I think on top of that, when it comes to list building, one of the very first things that people, I think, are going to experiment with is how much value does playing around the objective actually have in the long run? Can I just bring a kill squad where it's like, I'm just going to come in and kill all your ships and see if I win first?
One of the things will be, can you end the game before the 12th rounds or before the ships are destroyed?
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a way to 2 things, either if there's a way to end the game with all the ships still being present, not all the ships, but some of the ships still being present, like if let's say you're adding to 200 and you get 15 points and you have half a TIE fighter left, that's 11. That half a TIE fighter is worth less than the 15 points, so you're at like 200 and something. So effectively you hit your 200 points. That's one. And then the other one is if you accumulated in that same scenario, you accumulated 204 points, and then the opponent destroys all of you for 200 points, do you still win because you basically had more, or does the opponent get to fly? You know, if there was 2 rounds left, get to fly 2 rounds and try to, uncontestedly accumulate more points. I mean, there's just so many different nuances that we don't know, that it makes it near impossible to know how people will build or how people will
You do
play.
bring up a good point, though, of like, because that drastically changes it. Like, if I can bring 8 ships and not go for kills, go for objectives, but because I have 8 ships, you're super alpha. Sure, you can take out 1, maybe every other round, but if I can score more points on objectives than killing your ships, I mean, it drastically changes what squad survivable.
I think that's one of the controls that AMGs they're gonna have to fine tune that balance of points and how much things are worth. Because I think where you balance first is the ship's points before you go and adjust like how the objective pointing works, most likely. And if they can't get the result they're looking for, then maybe at the extreme, after they have enough data, they maybe tweak the way the objectives work. But we'll have to wait and see there. All right. I think we're all going to be in agreement on this one. I don't really think this is a discussion point, but Iron Mag asked for it. Iron Mag 44, one of my patrons, said, "Would you rather build and assemble your own ships, or keep the current system of the ship already being assembled? Period. Question mark. Do any of you have a desire to put an X-wing ship together to assemble?"
No. Please no.
No, thank you. I think you would immediately lose people.
I've had Marvel Crisis Protocol there for about a year.
That's how my Legion's sitting still too. Yeah, it's the reason we're in this game and not War Machine or Marvel Champions or something.
Yeah, I think I would have played Legion if it came to assembled. I think I would have. But nah. Zero desire. So we're going to move on. Now I have a ridiculous question. This comes from Jared Star Wars. If you were a giant hot dog and you were starving to death, would you eat yourself?
No.
I got the best reply for this.
Go for it.
If a hot dog is meat ground up inside of an intestine, when does it stop being a hot dog when you eat it?
Whoa. That's a deep answer.
No,
I
here's
have
the
to
question.
silence deal. Whoa.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If you're a human and ate yourself, would you be making hot dogs in your stomach then? Not to get into cannibalism, but...
Well, no, because a hot dog is specifically with a bun. So it stops... Because
Not
at that point, you just got a
necessarily.
sausage.
See, that's the bigger question is a hot dog a sandwich or is a hot dog a meat product?
Oh no, this tangent. I've been on this before.
No, the hot dog is specifically so
you're saying it's a sandwich?
It's a sausage in a hot dog bun, because I've eaten just like, I've eaten Kool-Aid sandwiches. Yes, I grew up in Southside Chicago. I've eaten my Kool-Aid sandwiches. I've also eaten my hot dogs on Wonder Bread, because Wonder Bread can be a hamburger bun, it could be a sandwich bun, it could be
It's wonderful.
dipping thing, it could be a hot dog bun. But it's not a hot dog bun, it's a sausage sandwich. Or something like that. It's some weird thing.
A hot
It's
dog
not a
is
hot
the
dog
tube
anymore.
itself. It has to. When I
No,
go
it
to the
can't
store
be.
and I say, "Can I buy? Where are your hot dogs?" They don't show me meat inside of buns already. It's just a hot dog.
Look, this is my
Deal.
only contribution to this
I don't know.
conversation right now. The whole hot dog sandwich thing, stop. A hot dog, if anything, is a taco.
Well, that's fair. I got to reply to Dion.
there's no tortilla.
When you were at the Cubs game, did you hear hot dogs with buns? Hot dogs with buns.
My
No,
daughter eats hot dogs without buns, though. What is she eating?
She's eating a hot dog.
Right.
Just
Without a
not the
bun.
sandwich version.
The non-sandwich version of a hot dog. A hot dog is a transformer. That's it. We're done. All right. Multiple forms. All right. More on brand now. If you could only play one faction for the rest of X-Wing, what faction would you play?
Roger.
Okay, he's locking himself.
That's
in
me.
Separatists.
Maybe Resistance. I've looked back and I'm surprisingly much more successful with Resistance than Separatists. But it's probably because I actually decide on bringing Resistance to bigger events more than Separatists. Don't know why, but
Will?
I'll stick with the droids.
As much as Rebels are my first love, I think I would have more fun playing Scum for the rest of time. At some point, you just start griefing your own ships and your opponents of just shooting yourself and blowing up if they try to kill you. I think I could have fun beyond winning with Scum. So I think I would take them.
Marcel?
If I can only play one faction in X-Wing, I probably would not play X-Wing. I mean, and I'm being honest. I have a little bit too much. Like I bounce around too much to really be happy, so I probably would stop playing.
For myself, my brain went first Scum, and then I was like, but all these reasons. I've probably played Empire the most competitively, but yeah, I guess Empire is probably where I end up. Somehow, that feels wrong and strange, because my heart wants to say Rebels, but it's not. All right. Where are we at here? All right, so Cursed Kiwi. This is more of a rules question. It says docking and undocking when friendly, when docking and undocking, you got to be at range 0. Does that cause you to become damaged?
We'll find out.
That has to be a rules change, right?
They might change how docking works. It might be range 1 now instead of 0.
I wonder if that's even. I mean, it might be considered like, hurry up, get it back from.
I mean, that might be the last little fine print on the bumping rules of, if you could carry the ship you bumped into, you do not suffer any damage.
Oh yeah, if ship can dock, you do not resolve the normal bumping rules.
Yeah, but I feel like, I mean, that's just like, my Ghost is gonna just bump my Phantom and not dock every round, though.
Yeah, I can
so
dock.
there's some weird balancing.
I would actually be happy if docking occurred real time during activation phase. I would be okay with that. Like, as long as the little ship is bumping into the big ship, not the other way around. Like if the ship that is docked bumps into the ship that it is docking into, thematically it's basically going in. But if the big ship runs into the little one, then the little one's probably
so that actually makes sense. Yeah, honestly, most of the time we see
a must.
That would be a way to resolve it.
A may, because you can. What if you miss the door? Then you're just taking damage. You're like, oops, I missed the entrance.
Yeah, Marcel, you bring up a good point, because honestly, most of the time you have like Han and an autopilot drone, or Bosk and I guess the pup's technically the same. Well, you can't undock him. Let's go Hera and AP5. Normally your carrier ship has a way higher initiative than the ship docking into you. So it would be interesting to give the benefit if you're positioning to the carrier for a docking, you don't get penalized for it. Assuming you're not just scraping against the hull, trying to get the little sheathipede into the top of the Ghost.
Nice. Yeah, so I would say watch out when the rules get released. Let's go take a peek at the docking rules to see if anything changed, because I could definitely see some type of forum errata, like, oh, we did miss that. Like, that's very missable, because very few people use docking whatsoever.
Very few people undock.
Yes,
I'll say that much. Like,
Redock.
Very few redock, exactly. Yeah, very few people go back into the ship. Like we're used to, the pup, or you hide your sheathipede for a while, then release it halfway through the game. Autopilot drone, of course, right? So we'll see.
Of course. All right, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. Now, Fudley asks, do you think bombs are competitive?
Yes, and probably more so when scenarios come out. They're not competitive, I think, enough to build your entire list around. Unless, because I just think about my FO bombers, and I'm pretty comfortable.
I feel like they've become like a subset of like turrets at this point. Like area denial is kind of like in that subset of, not that all turrets have bombs and that all bombers have turrets, but it's a way to threaten behind you, right? And I kind of count that as an arc.
It's kind of similar to how I think we thought about the V-Wing and compared it to an RZ2, but they just threatened the back differently with bombs versus a whole other arc.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say that whatever points you're spending, a point on almost any bomb is better than an equal amount of points spent on a hull or a shield upgrade. So I would say they're better than hull and shield.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we've seen bombs really impact the game. We've seen thermal detonators when it first came out, just the amount of aerial denial, and when you have things like proximity mines and cluster mines just laying damage on people, you got to put your ship in the right spot to do it. With those FO bombers, especially the what do you call it, Will? The beaver tail? The Ankylosaurus?
The Ankylosaurus assault is what I said the other day.
Is that what you're calling the FO bombers with prox mines?
Yeah.
I love it.
Just move out of the way and get that big tail swinging. Like it's great.
All right. Psych J7s, will you discuss the impact of the Book of Boba Fett on X-Wing? Yes. We'll put that question at the end. Let's see. Other than X-Wing or Lupin Chewie, of course, what is your favorite Star Wars game?
Are we saying like tabletop specifically / card?
I would say anything you play. I'm gonna go throw out Knights of the Old Republic, those RPG games. I have not played a Star Wars game that has topped that. I really enjoyed Fallen Order, but like those two games, the bee's knees.
I'm going to go a board game. Outer Rim is close for like my second favorite board game, but what tops it is actually second favorite Star Wars board game is actually Star Wars Rebellion. It's 2-on-2, or sorry, 1v1. It can be 2-on-2, but it's just like a tactical positioning, like almost economy game. It kind of mixes the different styles of like Euro versus others. If you're familiar with like Twilight and Imperium, think about it like a 1v1 Twilight Imperium based on Star Wars. Super fun. The Imperials can blow up planets if they build their Death Star right, but if you're the Rebels, you can also blow up the Death Star. And like you get a bunch of victory points for doing that. Probably win the game at that point if you just blow it up. So it's created a lot of good memories for me. I really like a Rebellion, I believe is its name.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play that, and it's maybe because it is. I didn't know it was only 1v1. I thought it was more.
You can go 2-on-2, but it's a little awkward.
Okay.
You got one person making all the decisions, the other person sitting there.
One person's the Rebels, one person's Imperial, so it's not your traditional, like I said, like Twilight Imperium or Risk or something like that.
I think I'll stick, because I assumed the question was based more on the board game side of things. I think I like Outer Rim a lot. It's great for, what is it, up to 4, 5? I don't know.
I think the expansion's going to give 5, but it's 4 right now.
Yeah, excited for that. It's I don't know if I've played a game similar to it before. It just stands out. It's it's a little bit of management, but not too much. You know, it's all right in front of you. You can step away. Like I had about a month ago, me and some buddies met up at a friend's house, and we had an odd number of people, so we all couldn't have an X-wing game against each other. So we did. So we had 1 or 2 X-wing games going, and there'd be 3 people playing Outer Rim. We would just rotate people in and out of their spot in Outer Rim, and they would just take the spot of that character, and whoever was playing would just update them where they're at, what they're trying to do, and it's just a good side game and a good game to play amongst people just to kind of chill out. I think even after an X-Wing, it's like I'm considering bringing Outer Rim with me to Crossroads for after, or if I don't make cut, fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But
All right. Marcel, you got anything?
Sorry. God, favorite non-X-wing star. Way too many. This is a tough one. So all the old Republic ones, you said it. You know, Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast. You've got the original TIE Fighter versus X-wing and X-wing, but specifically TIE Fighter versus X-wing, or X-wing versus TIE Fighter was the actual title of it. That one was just amazing. I'm gonna even go with the more recent one that came out with BD.
Fallen Order, yeah.
Yeah, Fallen Order is nuts.
He doesn't remember the main character's name. He remembers the droid's name. But anyway, continue.
And then no, his name is what is it, like Cast or something like that?
Cal Castus.
Cal Cast. I got us close enough. And then before I was even into Star Wars, like before in the 90s, the Super NES side scroller Star Wars game with Luke Skywalker just going like woo, 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 and all that's like just very repetitive, taking the lightsaber and going woo, woo, bounce like that. Too much fun with Star Wars game for a long time. And I'll even throw it out there, the little MMO that they got, the MMORPG. I played that for a while. Not the Old Republic one.
I played that too, actually. I played that for about 2 years, and I was like, all right, that's the only MMO I'm playing my entire life. I'm done.
Yeah, pretty good. And they actually just redesigned it. I haven't played the redesigned version, but this month.
It comes out tomorrow, actually. I've seen it on Twitter. Yeah, the redesign, revamp, new expansion comes out tomorrow. I've considered
and I heard that like
they
changed the way that the abilities work. They changed everything. Like it's like they changed your ginger ale into a Coca-Cola is what I heard.
Oh, one of those kind of things.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's actually I think very akin to what's happening right now.
Yeah, so I might actually go in there and check that out again because I love the Old Republic era. I think that's my favorite era and just being able to go in there and see what changes happen. That'll be fun.
So would you say you'd be pretty happy one day to see a Sith Starfighter and Ebon Hawk X-Wing models?
That, and then also all of the characters from both the MMORPG. Satele San, is that what it is? Like Satele and then
Satele, that's the Jedi. Yep.
It's the granddaughter of Basta Lashan, yeah.
And then also the ships and the characters from the Old Republic. And I mean, Revan, who wouldn't want to have like, is it Nihilus or Sihilis or Syphilis?
Nihilus.
Lord of Hunger.
Lord Syphilis, yeah.
Wow.
Lord
Wow.
Syphilis.
Wow.
But yeah, if we ever got an Old Republic faction, that would be, oh yeah.
Well, here's a question for you, completely random. Would that be something you guys would be interested in, like, playing together? I wonder if people would get a kick out of it. I've never played it.
All of us play the Old Republic together? 'Cause
Sure.
I think it's like they do like 4-player dungeons and whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty standard.
But you can do the if you're doing something like that because it's not very exciting. To be honest, I mean it's kind of grindy.
Well, the exciting thing is us playing together.
It would be the shenanigans. It would be between us doing random crap to each other.
Yeah, if we can like do like role play it, then it would be fun. Or they have the space combat So like the space combat PvP. That one's fun because that one's fast paced, and that's kind of like that. Yeah, that's fast paced, and it's got pretty good mechanics for like space combat.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we would suck at it. So we would get
I don't know about that. I think it would be funny for us to just start some new characters and just start,
Just have a
entertaining
good time.
ourselves.
I think it would be. I think it could be a good time. we'll talk about it later.
Envision one of us just wandering off. Where are you going? And then just like comes back.
It'd
with
be
this
Marcel.
giant
It'd be like,
monster
Marcel,
that's
we're
really
trying to
hard
do the
beat.
mission.
Leroy Jenkins.
All right. You guys gotta let us know if that's something you'd like to see. Then we could see what we can do. All right, a little bit more of a serious question here. What would it take to make you stop playing X-Wing? This is a deep one.
Not have friends to play with. Simple. I think I'm enough of a Star Wars fan to enjoy it beyond the mechanics of the game. But the mechanics obviously are very unique as what they are. The dials, so on and so forth, being one of the bigger parts of it in the movement. But I think it's really just the enjoyment with the people, right? If there's no one to enjoy it with, it's kind of not a game anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. Like, I could play like voiceless games versus like random people on the internet, but like that'll never be satisfying. But beyond like not having enjoyable people to play with or talk about it with, I think if for some reason they got rid of dials and like you just got to choose what maneuver your ship did, I'm out. Like that's what got dials is what hooked me. And if for whatever reason we lost that, we went to command ships or something weird like that, right? I would be out.
Yeah, probably same as well. If it felt like my choices didn't matter that much, and I don't mean like your agency is taken, somebody puts you in a weird bumping situation now because you had to either mess up or they really had to play really well to get you in that spot. But if it becomes more of a coin toss where it doesn't feel like the effort that you put in makes you a better player, and this is just very randomized. The winning becomes very randomized, then I would probably just walk away to something that's more. There's a bigger distinction between being good and not being good. Even if you're not good, you can still aim for that.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's no aiming for that because it's super random, then it's just not as much fun.
For myself, I'm just gonna say it. If I still think so, I have literally put blood, sweat, and tears into this game because of how much I enjoy it and love the mechanics of the game and of course the people. But the moment I couldn't find it fun anymore. Like, I mean, everybody has moments of emotions going up and down, but like, if I were to, in a calm state, just say, I'm not having fun anymore, and I'm unable to find it after trying to continuously find it, that would be the end for me. So I don't know, I can't give you what would trigger that, but yeah. So that's a deep one. Let's keep having fun. That's what matters for me. Because if it's not fun, there's no point. All right. Let's go way less serious. Who's your Star Wars Valentine? Who you giving a red heart to?
Oh, shirtless Kylo Ren. Come on.
Let's go.
Yeah, Swolo. God, I was trying to think. I wasn't ready for that answer from Will.
I'm gonna go. Man, I'm going to go Black Chrysanthemum. How about that? Boom. He'll keep me safe. He'll keep me safe. You see that season finale? That guy don't die. He refuses. Marcel, who are you giving a Valentine to, bro?
Did Ryan already say?
Right.
Let Ryan go.
I think we're both trying to figure it out at the same time. Sorry, I'm just gonna throw a dart at the wall essentially right now. Someone that kind of reminds me of my wife in Star Wars Galaxy, Zori Bliss. Sure.
Solid.
Right. I'm gonna say Darth Bane. So Darth Bane, because it was the first book of Star Wars that I genuinely finished because I truly enjoyed it, not because it was like Star Wars. I thought I really enjoyed that one. The first one that I ever read that I was like, yeah, this is good quality writing.
Highly recommend the whole series of those books for sure. Also, he invented the rule of 2, therefore Valentine 2.
That's my Valentine.
I'll be your rule of 2.
Strong enough to backstab him then. Until then.
All right, I like it. The rule of us. That's all he was actually going for. It got twisted along the way. It's like, I was just out here for love. Now we all here murdering each other.
Telephone.
Monogamy, man. Relationship goals. He knew what was up.
Rule of 2 relationship goals.
One's always trying to get stronger to kill the
other. Really
other.
Bad Valentine's card off of that right now.
Wow. All right. Here we go. Steelwater 6942 asks, what if AMG went crazy and lowered points by 10 to 15%? So 10 to 15% more stuff can fit in your list. What would happen?
It would just be really hard to.
It would just be epic.
Yeah, I mean, like the 5 and 6 ship swarms would, I think, take over, because now they could bring those chassis like similar to Predator, Black Sun Assassins. No, those are the Star Vipers. What were the soldiers? No, those are the Z's. What are those called? I had to guess via it now.
Which ones?
The Kiraxes.
Oh,
Black Sun Ace. Thank you. We got there. But take that dimension of that list, or 5 X-Wings, right? 4 T-70s and something. But now you get a 6th ship thrown into there. I think that would probably become too powerful.
Spicy.
I would think that it'd be really hard to balance the swarmy low generic stuff, because you lower the cost of everything, you're also squishing everything towards the bottom, which means there'll be clear pieces and pilots and ships that rise above the others and make the other ones almost obsolete. I've said it for a while, there's more room up. I would like a 10 to 15% increase.
All right. There we go. Okay, let's see. FJB Fancourt says, what is something that'll be unexpectedly love about scenario play that community would never go back on? What's something they dislike? It's kind of hard to answer without knowing what is there right now. I don't know how to approach that one, guys.
To me, it's going to be how engagements are defined. I think it's going to be the secret hit of objectives. No longer will you be forced to chase an unkillable ace for the last 45 minutes of a game, right? No longer will you have to, what do I want to say? Be pinned down or like a slow roll, if that makes sense. No longer do you have to wait for the enemy to come to you. You could just go to an objective and they'll come to you there. So that's the redefining of how you get to choose your engagements, I think is going to be very interesting. A deep well of strategy that people can get into, and I wouldn't say exploit, but let's say utilize effectively.
I mean, there's going to be a different kind of cat and mouse game there, right? Because if I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to go for objectives, but you have this kind of I'm going to call it a side quest where you're like, I'm going to try to get objectives, but I'm trying to get shots at the same time. Like you're trying to do both, and the players that can do both will probably end up being the most successful, because if you're let's say you have one ship left versus what is a more expensive opponent ship in what normally an X-Wing would have been like, like I don't even have to really chase you to win the game. Now all of a sudden that chase might be more or less important depending on how many points things end up costing. I think you said it really nicely there. It's going to define. We're going to have some exciting moments there at the end of the game. And I will tell you, check out what I got for Adepticon. Assuming that we have objective play. I got like a. I'm working on modding it right now, but I got like a scoreboard. So we could live keep the score for everybody who's watching there during the final and stuff like that. I think it's gonna be fun to do. They actually sent me the wrong one. I asked for one with colors, but we can deal.
I kind of have a double-edged sword approach to JB Fancourt's question. Is that I think some people, and maybe a majority, will love the fact that I think most scenario games will be shorter. They're not going to take that long to complete, because not only are you going likely a game clock, which is what we're used to, so we're dialing it back further because there likely will be turn counts. And then on top of that, how scenarios add essentially to the score of you destroying enemy ships means you are reaching that 20 or 200, whatever, round up, round down, or do they decide to put the scenario points into the 200, make it 200, which unfortunately would hurt your scoreboard right now, Dion.
It would. It would.
But either way, when I tried out the scenarios that, for whatever we've seen from AMG and tested it, the games are much faster. Now, on the flip side of that, people might not like that they're that much faster because they might feel it's not concluded. I know a lot of people have that feeling sometimes with some games that there's still enough ships on the board, or they feel like they didn't get enough turns in the time allotted, that they don't feel like their game came to a satisfying conclusion. Because a lot of people are used to dogfight conclusions, which is I want to destroy everything.
Mm-hmm.
What they have to take into, what they may not take into account or don't want to, is scenarios and objectives are a main part of why your ships thematically are there doing something. So I assume that's, in my mind, the AMG's approach on the thematic aspect of it. So that's the important part of, or it's still a very important part of the scoring and the thematic part of the game, even though they have said as well that destroying ships is still much more valuable than the objectives.
I am excited.
Wait as you will, but I think it's a double-edged sword. People are going to really like that it goes faster, but people may not feel like they've concluded their game because it's ended faster.
I can foresee the stream game where that player's still trying to play that, like, I'm going to wait and feel you out, and somebody's got like 5 ships. They're like, objectives, I win. Right? It's just like a 3-turn kill, type of thing where it's like, oh, I thought we were going to dance, and like, I didn't come to dance. I think the opening and approaches are definitely going to matter, but I can foresee it. I can foresee it. We got to see what the scoring is going to be and stuff like that. But it'll be interesting. I'm almost sure it'll end up happening. You're right. I hadn't thought about the time potentially being shorter.
I take a vote on the next question. Actually, I want to make sure we get this one.
Hit it.
Blue Jello. Didn't know if this is already on your list, but asks, what do you think is the most underrated ship chassis coming into scenario play?
Ooh, underrated.
It's hard to say what's underrated, but I feel like this ship in general, while it has seen some presence recently, a lot of people still would rather take a different chassis in the faction over it right now. but I think the resistance Y-wing. The boost, the turret, the bombs. I think objective-wise, those are all pieces that are yes to me.
I would say Hawks for the same reason, but they're not underrated. Best ship in the game. No, honestly, I would probably say HMPs. The way they can move, the way they can stop, the way their arc coverage. Same thing with bombs as well. They could be very good for holding down, like just side slipping in between two objectives could be very advantageous.
For a similar reason, Will actually was reaching for the Star Vipers. Star Vipers, that different type of movement could
not black box.
No,
it will be events, but it's not black box.
Not the black box. You're right. How about then I'm gonna switch it up and say generic fireballs. Slam a jam in between objectives, getting to places where other ships can't get to. I'm gonna go there.
Well, now you can put upgrades to give everybody slam. So there's that.
But they can slam every turn.
True.
Slamming every turn is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay with the Scum TIE Fighters. I think they're still really good.
All right.
Their stocks won't come. If the what is it called? If the tugboats were legal, I would say the tugboats, because they can reverse, they can hang around, and they can tractor their own ships to get them. That's one thing that I don't know if you lose the tractoring ability of being able to put somebody on a rock, but I think
you can move them out of an objective area.
That's what I'm saying. Like either moving them out of an objective area or moving a friendly ship into an objective area. So I think that's something that a lot of people may not look at.
Man, if only there was a way to track to your friendlies at the start of engagement.
If only
that was black box legal, man.
Yeah.
Well, maybe someday.
Gonna have to figure that one out for yourself, guys. All right, so let's go with. Oh man, there's so many fun questions here, but we're getting low on time because I do want to hit Boba Fett. So somebody had asked me a question about music stuff. I'll just go ahead and hit that. I have 2 potential music projects coming up that have to do with board games. So we'll see if that ends up working out. And I am always working on music stuff. You'll see later. But yeah, we'll leave that alone. Last one. Brian Lindemood right here. How extreme do you think the AMG errata bat will be for 2.5? Will they go so far as to reprint black box pilots and cardboard?
I don't get what he's saying. Sorry, I don't know if he's saying like how extreme will it be, as in like
will it be so many changes that in their mind it is worth a skew?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of like if you're eradicating Ghost Hera's ability, right, from the changing the dial, if you're just making it something completely different, you need to update whatever the next production run is. We have seen this before with in first edition, Advanced Slam got changed in between K-Wings and Star Wings. Mm-hmm. Like K-Wings would say an action and Star Wings said an action on your action bar. Right? So there's precedent that they've changed cards for a second production cycle, right? How far will they go? I mean, will they just like throw out? I mean, because like Hera's my example because she's such an iconic character in her like iconic ship, but it has a dial changing ability that's very powerful. So you can't really just ban her. That seems weird. Same thing with like Luke or something like, oh, Luke, you're too good at an X-wing, banned.
Not
so
banned, just not in standard.
Not standard. No, sure, great. I think they will have to go through like we're talking Goran, all the things that range 0 attacks. They have to like make an actual updated copy for that. So it's going to be extensive.
All right. So didn't they, and this is I don't know this information. I believe I think I heard people talking about that in Marvel Crisis Protocol. They made some pretty big changes and they did re-release the cards. I mean, I don't know, maybe if somebody in the chat is a Marvel person.
I think
out there.
they
made them
did
available
update cards
for printing. I don't.
So this is that was going to be my answer was I think they'll be drastic enough to require it. They'll be cheap enough not to offer any support for product that's already available. What I mean by that, like stuff that's on the shelf. There's things that you can do at point of purchase, like just adding, not doing a recall, because that's way too expensive, but just sending out like, you can send out like a kit that says when they buy this, you give them this. Mm-hmm. So that's stuff that I've done in the past for retail. But when you send something and it has like a little discrepancy, you just send the fix and then you provide it to the retailer, and then the retailer can attach the fix when they buy it. I don't think they'll go there, but I think they'll go far enough to put it on a PDF, print it, and then go buy your own super glue.
Do you guys, well, two-part question. Would you buy, and do you think that they would sell a 2.5 errata card pack?
I mean, Isofane in the chat saying that's essentially what they did for Marvel Crisis Protocol. Is that they changed up so much that they went and made a card pack with everything that was updated. Which I think that would be a great move. There's precedent here, at least a little bit.
The question is, how much change is in that, and is it, how much are they selling it for? Are they selling it at a very low margin to basically update everyone, or are they selling it at the regular margin, which Marvel Crisis Protocol's margins must be through the roof, because the product is like, you can get like one character for like $50-$60. So that's something that I'd be curious to know, is how much did that correction pack cost in Marvel Crisis Protocol?
I mean, if we're also trying to like think about excuse me, like if we have enough or if there will be enough to generate a card back of, we got to think already every single pilot that has a range 0 based ability, it's Oiken, Arvel, Reimer's probably a clarification thing in the rules, or they do errata and says he's allowed to use special attacks at range 0 with his ability, right? Then you have, like Will mentioned, any pilot that is that, like you mentioned, is iconic, that you want to stay in the game, but you want to be able to update its ability so it doesn't mess with dials, right? You want Hera in a VCX to exist. Not as big of a character, Stacey Tin in the Jedi Aether Sprite, even dial peaking. Anything that has that, if they want to keep in the game. Beaverati, Snoke. Yeah, Snoke. I mean, personally, I would love to see them redesign Snoke. Like, just don't do dial peaking. Have them do something else cool. His eyes get cut in half.
All right. Update here. I guess the Marvel Crisis Protocol changes actually haven't been released yet. They're going to make it available, but it's available for free online, which I think is a good compromise. Low margin product, you may have to make it cheap enough where people were willing to buy it, so that you at least don't lose money on it, and you make it available for free for the people who don't care.
That's a sad standard, to be honest with you, but that's okay.
As long as they're willing to make the product, I think that's good. Like to turn around and say, here's the physical version of this updated. Please do that, because I would like the physical real version of those cards.
Same. I would. All right. There's a few questions we left there, but don't worry. We'll get back to them at a later date. We're about to hit some Book of Boba Fett stuff. So if you are Book of Boba Fett sensitive, I would turn it off now. Thank you for listening. Here we go. Book of Boba Fett is happening right now. So let's go ahead. You have all finished the series, yes?
Yes.
Okay. We will start with a... Give me... out of, I don't know, out of 10. Your rating out of 10 for the overall series. We'll start there. We'll start there. Will, you want to go first?
I'll go ahead. I'll give it 7 out of 10. Would watch some episodes again.
Mm-hmm. All right. Marcel?
As just plain as a TV show, I would give it a 4 out of 10.
Okay. Ryan?
I think I'm in the realm of just above the middle, so 6.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and land in, I'm going to call it an 8 out of 10. Mind you, I'm pretty easy to please. I've admitted it before. I'm just here for a fun ride. Okay. All right. So we'll leave it at that real quick. Now let's hit an X-Wing angle first. Again, if you have not watched the Book of Boba Fett yet or haven't finished it yet, you should leave. The Naboo Starfighter, updated Naboo Starfighter thing looks super cool. Do you think that deserves its own release from
sure,
modified
money off
Naboo?
of that.
Oh yeah, of course.
So I'm calling it now. I have 2 key words that I think might be good for this end one, because we've seen for the YT 1300, we've seen customized, modified, and scavenged. As much as this is a very scavenged version of the N1, I don't know if they want to reuse the name. I'm calling either restored or refurbished.
Okay. All right. I could see that.
Retrofitted.
Ooh.
Okay, another RE1. I'll take the retrofitted. I don't know if they'll... sounds cool.
Some people are throwing out a modified N1. Could see that. Has a crew baby is the Baby Yoda bubble, is the Grogu bubble a like title? You make it a configuration so that you really can't put anybody in there.
I think it just becomes a crew instead of a astromech slot, probably. But man, that is not a really good. That is not a really good bounty hunting ship. Just throwing that out there. It's not a good bounty hunting ship. But who knows? He may have left that life behind him.
I want to know, because he said he's still looking for a Razor Crest. He's like, let me know when you find one. He still wants it.
He now has the need for speed, though. It seems like he enjoys that. Also, my wife thoroughly chuckled when he put on the gas for Baby Yoda.
Oh man, it was so. Anybody who has kids understands. Again, like whenever they want to do something again, something fun again. Every time it was adorable, absolutely adorable. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's hit some positives. Let's hit some negatives. And I'm sure we'll get to unpack the show a little bit more. It sounded like to me, Marcel, you were the most critical of all of us. You also made a specification. You're like, as a TV show overall, you just made it a 4. So you're saying like it leaned too much on the fact that it was Star Wars rather than just putting on what you would consider a good show?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. It leaned a lot on the member berries. You know, the I don't know where they. I think they saw the success in the Mandalorian when these cameos occurred, and you're like, oh, I know that character. Oh, this character came out, and the reaction, the fan reaction, and just the love of just the excitement and the buzz that came about. I think they saw that, and they crammed this show with basically, well, how many member berries can we throw in there? And then while at the same time, you know, this is something that Kayla and I were talking about, is that the show, it's Book of Boba Fett, right? And there was like the best shows, really, the best episodes did not include Boba. Like
Right.
Boba was not a focal point in, you know, he didn't even cameo in his own in his own show for a couple episodes, and the writing. And again, just talking about it, not just as a Star Wars and in the member berries, just the writing of it was so simplistic, so basic, so childish that you know it just didn't it was not good. I mean, there's things about it that I love. Like I did really enjoy seeing the two episodes that were focused around the Mandalorian. I thought those were really well done. They were dark, especially that meat scene, like that meat uh, locker fight. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was really well done. I think the interaction with the armor smith and the Vizsla, I thought that interaction, you know, was really nuanced, and you can tell like there's something deep there. Like I want to learn more about that. Like
Right.
that the you know that that greed, that jealousy that one carries towards the others, the holding that religion, holding old, like all of that was super interesting. And then you get to the Boba portions of it, and it's just super basic. The writing is just like, you know, I'll give you a great example and even in the final. A lot of people love the final, and because the finale, because of you know the fights and what do they call it, the Gorgon or Grogan or whatever
The Rancor.
the Rancor. There you go. But if you, we're talking about Boba's like, hey, wait for a second, let me go all the way back to my palace, get a Rancor, ride that Rancor back, and then try. Dude, you went back to your palace. You got the Slave One right there. Like that Slave One would turn those robots to like just go get your ship, go shoot it a couple times, shoot the other thing a couple times. They can't withstand. They can't withstand a laser beam.
The power of that magnitude.
Yeah, of a Slave One. I mean, seriously. And anyway, it was just really dumb. And then the character, the Afro lady, I don't even know her name, the mechanic lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like really terrible, like high school acting. Like I am going to tell you this. Like it's just
Well, that's
really
that's her character
badly
though in Mando
overacted.
too. Like
It
she's
is,
just kind
and it
of
was bad in
weird.
Mando, and it's bad here. It's just anyway. I was just that. But having said that, like the Star Wars portion of it, like I really liked seeing the ship, especially like the ship was awesome. Seeing like the Naboo starfighter was great. Seeing the you know, some of the cameos, like again, they're doing it the member berries, but I like it. So like that tickled my member berry fix. So I've got so much to say, and I didn't even read Ryan Farmer. I guess wrote like a 1,000,000-page book about it. I haven't read that, but I'd be curious to read what he thought about it, because I don't know if he was critical or not, but he had a lot to say. So that means he probably put a lot of thought into it. But
So
as a TV show, terrible. If you compare that to The Expanse or something like that, that's just well written, this is like, you know, kindergarten level. If you're comparing it just as like a thematic and a fun kind of shut off your brain and pew pew kind of thing, the score goes up.
All right. All right. Ryan?
So I'm also generally pretty easy to please on the Star Wars side, and even though you said the same thing, you put yours as an 8, mine was a 6, and I mostly attribute it to, man, I just we got Pepsi, not ginger ale, right? We're back to that. That's the theme of this episode right now.
Right.
We were shown Boba Fett, and then we diverted to Mandalorian. I loved all the Mandalorian stuff. At least I don't think I had a problem with any of the stuff. Besides it just existing in the Boba Fett series. Like right now, the only reason why I tell someone to go watch Boba Fett, because I don't think it's a satisfiable series as someone. If I knew a Boba Fett fan, I don't know if I would tell them to go watch this show, because I could just tell them that he survived. They don't really expand on it. I mean, they kind of expand on it a ton, but it's the Tusken Raider family, which I like that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I liked when we got to see what he did and the development he had with the Tusken Raiders, right? But in the whole conclusion to it all, they only factored in a little bit for just one character to be like, hey, we actually killed them. Haha, I guess. But Boba Fett wasn't really the one to get revenge on them. It was Fennec.
Right.
So, it's two different series in one, and the one that was marketed for, you didn't really get probably satisfaction that you were looking for if someone's a Boba Fett fan. I'm not a huge Boba Fett fan, but it was still disconnected. I would tell someone who wants to see what happened between Mandalorian season 2 and eventually Mandalorian season 3 to go watch those few episodes of Boba Fett now, because you have to, I think, at this point.
Yep.
So, and I guess the only other reason I tell someone to watch it is if they wanted to see live action Cad Bane, because we got that finally. Big deal. I don't mind that Boba killed him, suggestively killed him. We don't know for sure. Beep. I mean, at this point, right? Like, anyone could just be retrofitted with cybernetic stuff, right?
Right.
We've seen that with Fennec. Did you guys watch after the credits or
all the way to the end? Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
You had that Robo Cobb.
Cobb Man is in a bacta tank with Mr. Robo Fixer dude ready to fix him up. So we don't know. It suggested Cobb Man is still alive. So, I mean, as Luke would say, no one's really dead. There's a way to bring anyone back. But hopefully, fingers crossed, them using Cad Bane in a live action scene tells me they're at least ready to consider using him in live action if it occurs in a storyline before he's dead, if he stays dead. I think Cad Bane was well done for the limited time we saw him. He was great. I mean, people would then look at it. People, I think, had a similar critiques as to his look could have been a little bit closer to the animated series, but it's the same critiques you got from Ahsoka with I think, what is it, her head tendril things. So it's never going to be exact because, spoiler, if you tried to put Count Dooku's face from the Clone Wars into live action, it actually anatomically wouldn't work. It's super long and very stone face style. So it's just stylistic versus live action, how they want to interpret it. It's fine. I don't care. But baseline, not satisfiable as a Boba Fett series, but as if I took the title and changed it to, I don't even know what I would change it to, honestly, because it's disconnected. I liked the content. I didn't like how it all fit together in how it was marketed as a Boba Fett series.
And that's kind of where what I'm hearing is that the problem is maybe they had these. it felt Will, you see people in the chat are calling it like Mando 2.5, right? So they had this like these threads. They're like, we need to get Mando from A to B. People have these questions. Let's spend a season kind of talking about what happens. And we'll see you next year for Mandalorian. Maybe. Will, what would you have called the show?
Star Wars Tatooine.
I was gonna say.
I think except for the Mando stuff, I don't think Boba Fett ever leaves Tatooine.
No, I think it's the fight for Tatooine. I think that's probably right. It's the fight for Tatooine, because even Boba is the pseudo leader, but he's not the main character. I mean, if you take the title away, he's not the main character. The main character is the supporting cast. And I think somebody said it in the chat. Fennec plays a bigger role in almost every decision and every outcome than Boba. Like when they first get ambushed, Fennec is the one that basically does more, and she's the one that captures the person. Fennec's the one that kills. I think that might have been Boba's like redemption moment, if he actually went out and killed the people that killed the Tuskens and people that basically betrayed him. But he didn't do that. Fennec did all that. Fennec's the one that went out and recruited.
I felt like it was so much more personal to have him fight Cad Bane. It's sort of like, personal, I mean, there was like big monsters or whatever, but like, he could have been like doing a dogfighting scene or something against like a bunch of stormtroopers, right? No. But like to make his finale the gunslinger showdown we all wanted, while it might not have been executed to its full potential, I do think that's far more interesting than just seeing Boba Fett knee missile some syndicate dudes.
Yeah, actually, even with all the history between Cad Bane and Boba Fett, and like this is, I think, meant to like put closure to it. The theme that each character has doesn't like. Cad Bane was set up multiple times with Cobb Vanth and in other iterations of his shows. Like he's the ultimate Western gunslinger, like bad guy, right? That's Cad Bane. But you put him up against Boba, who doesn't really fit the Western style. How Mandalorian has been portrayed would fit more of that gunslinger standoff, except they just don't have the history for it.
Right.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about that, Boba not getting, to make it the book of Boba and still have like the story, just everything kind of makes sense. It would have felt a lot better for me, and I would have digested it, probably bumped it from a 4 to something higher. After he killed Cad Bane, you forward it a day or two, or maybe even a week or two, and he goes in and he snipes, even if it's individually, not in the same spot, he snipes all the people that betrayed him and snipes the Pike Syndicate, and that's all they show. So basically what Fennec did, if they just kind of fast forward and they show that he goes in there and he gets revenge and he basically regains his honor, but he kind of did it. He just kind of showed up at the end scene. Fennec did all the work, and then he's crying because he's not in a Banta tank because he's people. Yeah,
see, here's the difference though. They weren't saluting Fennec in the streets for murdering all their leaders. Okay. They were saluting Boba Fett for what he would, because he stayed in Mos Espa and fought with the people. I was talking to Tommy in the chat about this, but basically the whole scene where he tells Fennec that, being a lone bounty hunter is profitable, but you need a tribe. And I personally think that while it comes off as a little awkward, the way he takes feedback and like input from those side characters is like really interesting, that he doesn't just like Like, oh, Finnick, whatever, I saved you. You don't know any better. Or like, whatever, street kids with scooters. Like, I don't need to listen to you. But like, he did begin to like surround himself. He even tried to offer it to those leaders. He's like, guys, come on, stop fighting. We could be better, right? Like, and that's very much, you know, the difference between like a boss and a leader. Jabba was a boss. He was getting your money no matter what. He didn't care about you. But the leader is down there in the trenches with you, right? And I do think like as a character arc, he did make a big, well, starting from the Sarlacc pit, right?
Right.
To the finale, where he stays in the ruins with those scooter kids. Were they just called mods? I feel
mods,
weird
yeah.
calling them that, but
The Power Rangers.
I know. I mean, mods is funny because like mods and like haha, but they also use modifications. Power Rangers, what? Is if they dressed in the same color as their bicycle as their scooter, yeah, that would be crazy. But
I get wanting to get characters to stand out, to know who they're different from in the crowd. But man, those
I know.
scooters are not Star Wars design. You're in Tatooine. There's sand and dirt everywhere. They can't be that clean.
I know. The
They're
scooters are
meticulous, man.
definitely.
They keep them covered.
They're gonna have to. They got like
Always-
special like polishing cybernetics or something on
That's
their
right. There
hands.
you
I don't know
go.
what it is.
Polishing cybernetics. One charge.
Look, you can
Recurring
still
per
have
day.
them be these standout colors, but there's gotta be that little bit of dirt and grime. That's the Star Wars.
I know.
Look.
I think that's going to come back to bite them for a long time.
Coruscant or something like that. Like you
Yeah,
can see it in Naboo, Coruscant. Like there's a couple planets where it
Yeah,
might fit,
there are a few
but
for sure.
not.
I
this
know
one
that.
for sure.
I will say that's the absolute low point for me in the whole series was the Vespas doing the street chase, right? And they're like, woo, 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 like I don't know, it fell apart for me. Like it didn't seem as
100%
fast
okay
paced. Like I don't know.
For reference, think back to episode 6 when Luke and Leia stole the speeder bikes, and they're like going down the woods with the speeder bikes, zoom, like that. That feels
Yeah, that was like fast paced and exciting.
yeah,
But,
like they're going so fast, and even Mando going through the where the speed racers went through the canyon or whatever. I mean, that's speed, and that's the capability of Star Wars and Star Wars machinery and Star Wars reflexes. Like those type of reflexes match the theme, and then you get like these mopeds. You know, it's like they're going like 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, it did not. Like I get the style that they were going for. Right, I understand their influences, but it did not work out in that one episode. When you saw them like driving around in the finale, it looked fine, right? They looked like that would be the cruising speed of those things. But in a chase where they're like ramping off of stuff, it didn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't match the body. Like I'm 100% okay with the characters that rode them. Like I like the whole cyber implant, the gang. Like that's cool. Just the Vespas, just it didn't work.
I think we need more information. We need a whole series on just the mods. How are those things so darn clean? Please tell. We need a canonical reason. Watch the Book of Boba Fett audiobook. I'm sure they'll come out with it.
I'm
bet
sure
the
they have
answer's
some
in there.
like graviton displacer that like dirt can't get near it or something. It's like a dirt shield
Right,
around
just like
them.
no. So for myself, as you guys know, like I said, I'm pretty positive guy when it comes to these type of things. Just in for a good ride. I will tell you about a few things that I didn't like. I enjoyed a lot of it. I think it was the first or second episode, the fight scenes that were in there on first viewing, I kind of cringed. I don't know what it was about it. I think it was a pacing issue. But in that first and second episode where they like, I don't remember if it's the first or second, where they like surround Boba and Fennec and they were like carrying the bucket of coins, something about the way that was shot, I was just watching it and going, why does this feel so slow? Like, because they were kind of going in between actual slow motion and then what I'm going to call like real time, but the real time still felt really slow. I don't know if it was the editing or something, but something about those scenes, it made me question like Boba Fett's like fighting ability with his armor on, because we see him like be crazy, you know, with the gaffy stick and stuff like that, like do some really awesome things. It's not until, you know, I was like remembering like, all right, he's pretty awesome in Mando. Like we've seen him be really aggressive then. In the finale, he moves a little bit better, and I'm more convinced. But like, and maybe the whole point is that we feel Boba Fett's age. Like maybe that is what the intention was. I just know those were a couple, like what those fight scenes were, a couple of them was like, I'm not convinced. I don't like that we didn't get full resolution on the biker gang. Like I wanted more. I wanted to see Boba Fett actually go after them more, right? Like incinerate them.
I mean, what? He shot him off their speeders with his fire spray.
Oh, you're right. You know, I had forgotten about that.
He blasted them to oblivion. I don't know how much more after you
Sorry, you're right. I forgot about it. Oh, unfortunately, I forgot about it. All right, so, okay, the action scenes. I think in the overall Star Wars kind of filling in, like I have always enjoyed like reading the like the info books that they put out where they give all these little details. The show definitely felt a lot like that, where you're just kind of bridging the gap. You get to see Boba Fett kind of come to terms with his like how do I want to be known in the world at the end, because I've seen a lot of the issues that some like hardcore Boba Fett fans have said is like, oh, I feel like Boba Fett went soft. It's like, well, maybe he just didn't want to be a hardcore killer anymore, and maybe that, I know some people have some problems with that. For me, it's like, that's fine. You can tell me that he wanted to not be that anymore. I'm okay with it. Yeah, that's what I got. I enjoyed the series. I will agree that I think the most of its critiques comes from the fact that the show probably shouldn't have been called The Book of Boba Fett. I think it could have been some type of mini series, like where you do a couple episodes on Boba Fett, you do a couple episodes on Mandalorian, you have some name that shows them. They could have called it Star Wars Crossroads. and you know, in this finale you get them all. It's like almost like a mini MCU type of situation where you're taking some building blocks and putting it together. I think billing it as The Book of Boba Fett hurt them. Definitely.
He did write a book in the show, though. A book by Boba Fett.
True.
He handed it to the Twi'lek or whatever to read.
You're right, but she got burnt up.
What? No, the male Twi'lek.
Oh. This guy. I'm here to help.
I love that guy.
That guy was awesome, actually. That's a good new character that just won you over his mannerisms.
Yeah. The mayor's assistant. I must have missed the book, the actual book.
Yeah, well, no, he writes it. He's like, yeah. He's like, the assistant's like, let me go and give them your terms. And Bob was like, oh yeah, great idea. And just like writes down, he's like, nothing. Like,
yeah, you're just meant to be a distraction.
Yeah, the Twi'lek like realized it halfway through. He's like, oh no, he sent me out here to die as a distraction.
All right. Well, we can break this down a little bit more for more implications for X-Wing in the future, because it is getting kind of late. But yeah, we'll see what we got more Star Wars content along the way, right? There's Obi-Wan supposed to be announcements here, Cassian Andor, which I would say that is the show that I am super excited about. I really like Cassian as a character. There's a Ahsoka show, all this, and yeah, we'll be back next week, maybe with more points, maybe new rules. At the very least, we'll talk about Crossroads. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be smart and be safe. Gold Squadron out.